As most of you guys know, I am a die-hard Missouri football fan, as my dad went there, and I watched every single game growing up, and I still do to this day. They are by far my favorite team, and while they're not a national title contending program, they're typically a solid team, have some good players, and a lot of fun storylines. Last year they got a new head coach in Eliah Drinkwitz, and so far he is doing super well, and I'm really excited for the future of Mizzou football. The team went 5-5 last year, showed a lot of flash and promise for the future, and going into 2021, some think they could be a breakout team. In today's video, I want to go through the roster, go through the depth chart, talk about some interesting storylines, go through the schedule, and give my honest prediction for the 2021 Missouri Tigers football season. Before we get started though, nearly 80% of you guys are not subscribed, so be sure to hit that button, as I really appreciate it, and you won't want to miss out on any more college football content. Now let's get started and talk about 2021 Missouri Tigers football. Gary Pinkel was a spectacular coach, but his recruiting was never top tier. He got the right guys and had the right coaching staff to develop them, but as I just mentioned, he was not landing blue chip recruits. Barry Odom was even worse at that, and he was the most average coach in college football when he was there. They decided to part ways with him after a disappointing 2019 season, and they hired Eliah Drinkwitz, an up-and-coming head coach from Appalachian State, who also spent time at Arkansas State, Boise State, NC State, and Auburn. Last year, the Tigers brought in a pretty good recruiting class, as it finished ranked number 27th in the country and 11th in the SEC. They got a plethora of 4-star recruits, which included Travion Ford, Dominic Lovett, Tyler Macon, Connor Tollison, Kyron Montgomery, and Dalen Carnell. They also did spectacular in the transfer portal, as they landed 2 high-caliber corner transfers from Tulsa by the names of Allie Green and Caleb Evans. They also added former 4-star offensive lineman from Oklahoma in EJ Nadoma Ogar, an experienced linebacker from Rice in Blaze Aldridge, and a former top 100 wide receiver from Ohio State by the name of Mookie Cooper. Looking ahead to their quarterback room, they returned Connor Bazelak, who was the SEC Freshman of the Year, and showed a ton of flash. Connor is a guy that a lot of people think can break out in 2021, and I'm super excited to see what he does this year. In terms of the backups from there, you're likely going to have true freshman Tyler Macon, who was a guy who blew up late on the recruiting scene, had a spectacular Elite 11 camp, and was bumped up to a 4-star. After that, you have Brady Cook, who was a former 3-star recruit, and then you have a couple walk-ons. You lose the leading rusher in school history in Larry Roundtree, but they have a couple guys who are waiting to step up. Tyler Beatty is the next man up. And then they have both Simi Bakari and 2 freshmen by the name of Taj Butts and BJ Harris. The wide receiver position is going to be a ton of fun, as I believe the 3 starters will be Toski Dove, Kiki Chisholm, and Mookie Cooper. Other guys who should also see the field include Dominic Lovett, who's a true freshman, Jay Macklin, who's actually the cousin of Jeremy Macklin, Barrett Bannister, sophomore JJ Hester, sophomore Chance Looper, senior Deontay Boo Smith, and senior Micah Wilson. At the tight end spot, you're going to see a likely mix of Nico Hay, Messiah Swinson, Daniel Parker Jr., and true freshman Ryan Hosterkamp. The offensive line is anchored by center Mike Maietti, who I think will be a future NFL player, and other guys in the mix will be Zeke Powell, Xavier Delgado, Case Cook, and Hiron White. On the defensive side of the ball, you return one of the best defensive ends in the SEC in Trajan Jeffcoat, an impact defensive tackle in Kobe Whiteside, and then Markel Utsi and Isaiah McGuire should be the other 2 starters. Nick Bolton was a 2nd-round pick to the Kansas City Chiefs, and they will likely replace him with Rice transfer Blaze Aldridge, and then guys like Devin Nicholson and Jamal Brooks should be the other 2 starters. At the cornerback spot, you're going to likely see a good dose of the 2 Tulsa transfers and sophomore Ennis Rakestraw Jr., who played pretty well last year, and then add in Ishmael Burdine. Martez Manuel was one of the best young players in the SEC last year, as he will lock up one of the safety spots, and then former 4-star recruit Jelani Williams I think will have an opportunity to start. The defensive coordinator is Steve Wilkes, who, in case you forgot, was the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals in 2018. He struggled when he was there, but maybe the college ranks will be better for him. Looking ahead to their 2021 schedule, I think they have an opportunity here. In week 1, they open up against Central Michigan at home, and there should be no reason why they lose this game. The first major matchup will come in week 2, as they will go on the road to Kentucky. Right now, Florida and Georgia are the projected top 2 teams in the SEC East, but Missouri and Kentucky are the teams in 3rd and 4th, and I think this will end up being a battle for that 3rd place spot. While both teams are solid and have their strengths and weaknesses, at the end of the day, Kentucky has really had their number over the last few years, and because the game is on the road, I think Missouri is going to lose a close one. From there, they go back home to play Southeastern Missouri State, and there should be no reason why they lose this game. In week 4, they play on the road against Boston College, and this is a pretty interesting game. Last year, the Eagles were spectacular under first-year head coach Jeff Hafley, and they showed a lot of promise for their future as well, so I think Missouri and Boston College are pretty evenly matched. But because I already picked them to lose on the road to Kentucky, I think they're going to win one of these two games, and I'm going to say Missouri wins on the road against Boston College. After that, they return home to play Tennessee, and while I think Josh Heupel will be a good coach, I think Missouri is going to take care of this game. At this point, after he went over North Texas, this has the Missouri Tigers at 5-1. They return home for a huge matchup against Texas A&M, and while I think there's an opportunity for an upset here, if Haynes King plays as well as people think, and all the talent lives up to the hype for A&M, I think the Aggies will get this win. From there, they go on the road against Vanderbilt, and while they did lose there in 2019, I think they will win this game. At this point, they are now bowl eligible at 6-2 before they go on the road to play against Georgia. They beat Georgia back in 2013 when they ended up going to the SEC championship game, but I do not think that happens this year unless major injuries happen for the Bulldogs or a couple things go weirdly in Mizzou's favor. Chalk that one up as a loss, they are 6-3. From there, they play South Carolina at home, and just like Kentucky, for some reason the Gamecocks have given Mizzou trouble, but with the inexperienced quarterback and the lack of experience and a first-year head coach for the Gamecocks, I think Missouri is going to win that game, and that is 7 wins for them. From there, they play Florida at home, and just like the A&M game, I think they have the opportunity to pull off an upset there, but at the end of the day, I'm going to give the nod to Florida. Finally, for their last game of the year, they go on the road to Arkansas to play in the Battle Line rivalry, and this game is another one of those Kentucky or Boston College matchups where I truly believe it is 50-50. Last year's game went down to the wire, and Mizzou kicked a game-winning field goal, so I think Arkansas is going to remember that, and they are also craving success in the SEC West. And while I want to say Missouri is going to win this game, at the end of the day, I'm going to give this one to Arkansas, and despite me being a Mizzou fan, feel free to chew my head off in the comment section for that one. So as of right there, I have Missouri going 7-5, and the only game I think that they really can't win is on the road against Georgia, but there is a chance they could lose at home to South Carolina, lose a game against Tennessee, or lose both Boston College and Kentucky, and they could be sitting close to making a bowl game. At the end of the day, though, I think they're going to win 7 games, go to a decent bowl, and depending on who they play, I might pick them. I'm hoping to at least go to a game or two this year, so I'm really excited to see this Missouri team. I'm really excited to see what Eliah Drinkwitz is going to do in the future, and I think the horizons are bright for the Tigers. If you take a quick glance at their 2022 class, it's currently ranked 21st in the country and 7th in the SEC, as they already have 6 4-star recruits committed for that year. I expect Missouri to be competitive in every game this year, and I think they're going to be a lot of fun to watch. What do you guys think, though? If you're a Mizzou fan like me, be sure to give me your thoughts on today's video, give me your projection, give me your record, and anything that you think I messed up on. Before you go, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new here, and let me know what team I should do next. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.